One team is arriving like a freight train, loaded with young talent, pitching depth, and the kind of energy you only get when no one expects you to be here. The other? A polished machine, veteran presence, playoff pedigree, a roster that looks like it was assembled in a lab to win championships. The Cincinnati Reds against the Los Angeles Dodgers in a best-of-3 wild-card showdown. And let's be honest, no one saw this coming. It's the kind of matchup that makes baseball so unpredictable. On paper, it looks like a mismatch. The Dodgers are a juggernaut. They've been here before. They've got MVPs, Cy Young contenders, and a payroll that dwarfs most teams in the league. Meanwhile, the Reds snuck into the postseason on the very last day, needing a little help from the Mets, and somehow, someway, they made it. Now, they're crashing the party in a big way, and they're bringing all the chaos with them. Let's set the stage. The Dodgers come in with that familiar October swagger. Their fan base already thinking ahead to the National League Division Series, maybe even eyeing another World Series run. That's the expectation in Los Angeles. It's title or bust every single year. And with names like Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman leading the way, who could blame them? But this isn't just about star power. This version of the Dodgers is built different. The rotation is the strength. Think about that. A team with 3 MVPs in the lineup, and yet the real weapon is on the mound. Blake Snell starts Game 1, fresh off a season where he made hitters look silly for months. In Game 2, it's Yoshinobu Yamamoto, one of the most electric pitchers in the league and a guy who's barely broken a sweat since opening day in Japan. And if it goes to a Game 3, Shohei Ohtani. Let that sink in. The man might win another MVP, and he's available as your emergency Game 3 starter. Add Tyler Glasnow into that mix in case things get funky, and you've got more firepower on the mound than most rotations dream of. And yet, the Dodgers know this isn't a guarantee. Not after what happened last year. Not after the Diamondbacks stunned them in that same wild card format. Not after seeing their season crumble because of one bad inning, one misstep, one bullpen meltdown. That's why there's urgency. That's why there's edge. Now, let's flip it to Cincinnati. This team shouldn't be here, right? That's what people keep saying. The Reds were left for dead in the standings a month ago. Nobody had them penciled in for the postseason. But they hung around. They scrapped. They fought. And when other teams collapsed, the Reds rose. They earned this. Hunter Greene starts Game 1. Big-time fastball. The kind of electric stuff that makes scouts drool. But this isn't just about pure talent. It's about momentum. Greene has been peaking at the right time. If he comes out locked in, spotting the heater, and working the edges with his slider, the Dodgers could be in for a rude awakening. In Game 2, it's Andrew Abbott, a lefty with great poise, quietly one of the most consistent arms in the Reds' rotation this year. And if we reach Game 3, they'll likely turn in Nick Lodolo. He's a bit of a wild card right now, especially after that short-notice bullpen appearance to end the season. But if he's right, he's got the tools to compete with anyone. But here's the thing with the Reds. The pitching might be solid, even underrated. It's the offense that raises questions. Can they hit enough? It's been the lingering concern all year. In April, we asked that. In July, still a question. Now it's the postseason, and we still don't know. They've been streaky. When they score 4 or more runs, they win a lot. When they don't, it's usually game over. It's a roller coaster. Still, there are pieces that can change games. Elly De La Cruz is the engine, the spark plug, the chaos agent. If he gets on base, the whole field tilts. He turns singles into triples, steals second, then third, before you even blink. But lately, he's been worn down. That August stretch took a toll. He didn't take a single game off all year, even in the middle of personal tragedy, and it's shown. The Reds need him at full strength, or at least something close to it. Because without him, the lineup loses its identity. And it's not just Elly. The Reds are loaded with young talent. Matt McClain, Spencer Steer, Noelvi Marte. But consistency has been an issue. Their offense is more hot or cold than steady and reliable. That's the risk with a young squad like this. But there's also a flip side. No fear, no baggage, no memory of past failures. Sometimes, the kids just don't know any better, and that's dangerous. Defense and run prevention have been quietly emphasized by manager Terry Francona down the stretch. He's leaned into gloves over bats. That's why you've seen guys like Matt McClain and Brian Hayes in the lineup, even when their bats go quiet. It's about minimizing damage, keeping games close, and hoping the bullpen can hold the line long enough for the offense to strike. Speaking of bullpens, this might be the one area where Cincinnati has the edge. It sounds crazy, but the Dodgers' bullpen has been a mess lately. Tanner Scott? Most blown saves in baseball despite missing time with injury. Kirby Yates? Can't find the strike zone. Blake Trinan, once a postseason hero? Inconsistent. Even Alex Vesia has wobbled. The Dodgers will try to patch it together with piggyback starters like Emmett Sheehan, who's been excellent. But the fact remains, if the Reds can force these games into the 6th or 7th inning with a lead, or even a tie, things could get real uncomfortable for LA. And that's where strategy comes in. For the Reds to win, they need to drag this series into the later innings. Push pitch counts. Get Snell and Yamamoto out of the game early. Make the Dodgers' bullpen work. Make them sweat. That's the only way. But let's not ignore the elephant in the room. The Dodgers have been built for this moment. All the money spent, all the stars signed, all the experience. It's designed to dominate in October. And if their rotation delivers like it should, if the offense gets early leads, if the bullpen isn't exposed, then this could be quick. That's just reality. Still, baseball doesn't care about paper. It doesn't care about payrolls or expectations. This is a short series. 2 wins, and you're through. That's all. The Reds don't need to be better over 162. They just need to be better twice. The real tension in this series isn't just about talent. It's about pressure. And that pressure is squarely on the shoulders of the Los Angeles Dodgers. They've been here before, and that might actually be the problem. Every postseason that ends without a trophy only adds more weight, more expectation, more disappointment. For all their regular season dominance over the past decade, the Dodgers have just one World Series title to show for it, and that came in the shortened, pandemic-altered 2020 season. Fair or not, there are people who put an asterisk next to that one. That leaves this team still chasing something: legitimacy, finality, that undeniable ring that no one can question. And anything short of that is failure. So when they step onto the field for Game 1 against the Reds, they're not just playing Cincinnati, they're battling ghosts. They're fighting the memory of a Diamondbacks team that embarrassed them last year. They're remembering how the Padres flipped the script in 2022. It's been too many early exits for a roster this expensive, this talented, this experienced. And the fan base knows it. One hiccup, one shaky bullpen outing, and that Dodger Stadium crowd that starts off electric can turn real quiet, real fast. Now contrast that with the Reds. They're loose. They're young. They're not supposed to be here. Nobody's picking them. They're the definition of playing with house money. And that makes them dangerous. You can feel it in the way they talk, the way they carry themselves. There's no fear, just belief. They've already shocked a few teams just by getting to this point. And now, they've got a chance to ruin someone else's October plans. The key for Cincinnati is simple. They've got to play clean baseball. No room for sloppy defense. No base running mistakes. And especially, no free passes. You can't give extra outs to a team like the Dodgers and expect to survive. That's what undid them in their regular season matchups. A hanging pitch here, a wild throw there. You blink against LA, and they put 3 on the board before you even realize what happened. That's why the Reds need their stars to show up. Ellie De La Cruz, Spencer Steer, Christian Encarnacion Strand, they need to deliver. Not just flashy moments. Not just highlight reel plays. They need real production. Base hits with runners in scoring position. Smart situational hitting. Putting the ball in play when it counts. That's the difference between a gutsy underdog story and an early exit. The Dodgers, on the other hand, don't need heroes. They need business as usual. Mookie Betts doesn't have to be Superman. He just has to be himself. Same for Freeman. Same for Ohtani. The beauty of a lineup like theirs is that any one of them can carry a game, but they don't need to. The weight is shared. If one guy goes cold, the next 3 can still mash. That depth is what terrifies most opponents. But lately, even that has shown cracks. There have been games where the offense went quiet. games where even their biggest names couldn't find the barrel. It happens in October, and when it does, it magnifies everything else. That's why the bullpen looms so large. The Dodgers' weakness isn't a secret. It's been the same story for most of the second half. They spent big in the offseason to fix it. Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, Blake Trinan, all brought in or re-signed to solidify the late innings. But results? Inconsistent at best. Yates has struggled to find the zone. Trinan has looked more mortal than heroic. And Scott, despite his filthy stuff, has blown more saves than anyone in baseball. That's not the kind of stat you want heading into the postseason. Their best plan? Lean on starters to go deep. Get 6, 7 innings, and then maybe you only need one bridge reliever before turning to someone like Emmett Sheehan to close it out. But that's a tightrope act. What happens if Snell doesn't have his command in Game 1? What if Yamamoto gets into trouble early? The Reds' best chance is to force that exact situation. Run up pitch counts. Work deep at-bats. Get traffic on the bases, even if you're not hitting bombs. Because once the bullpen door swings open, things get interesting. And don't sleep on Cincinnati's bullpen. That unit has quietly become one of the most reliable pieces of this team. They've carried heavy innings down the stretch. They've held leads. They've kept games close when the offense couldn't get going. Alexis Diaz at the back end has been nails. And while there's always concern about overuse, this is the playoffs. Everyone's running on adrenaline now. Rest days are gone. It's about who steps up. There's also the unspoken factor, experience versus hunger. The Dodgers have played in dozens of October games over the past 10 years. They've seen it all. That matters. But sometimes, being too familiar with the stage makes the moment feel heavier. The Reds? Most of these guys are postseason rookies. They don't know what they don't know. They're not carrying the baggage of past failures. They're not thinking about legacy. They're thinking about opportunity. And sometimes that mindset wins. But none of it will matter if the Reds don't find a way to score. That's the reality. The pitching might keep them in games, but somebody has to drive in runs. They've leaned on rookies all year, and now they need one or two to rise above. Could it be South Stewart? Could it be a big swing from Encarnacion Strand? Could someone like Will Benson sneak up and have a moment? It doesn't take a legendary career to become a postseason legend. It takes one timely hit. And the crowd? That's a factor, too. Dodger Stadium is loud, intimidating, but also restless. You give them a reason to doubt, a reason to sit back in their seats, and the whole environment shifts. If the Reds can land the first punch, a 2-run double, a solo home run, something to flip the momentum, you'll feel that stadium tighten. That's what happened against the Diamondbacks last year. One bad inning, and the place went silent. The Dodgers know all this. That's what makes them dangerous. Because when they're locked in, there's nobody better. They could turn a 3-run lead into a 7-run blowout in the blink of an eye. They can turn a single mistake into a crooked number. But they also know that margin for error is small in this format. That's what makes this series so compelling. It's 3 games, not 7. There's no room to feel things out. You either start fast or you're done. So now it comes down to execution. Who controls the strike zone? Who makes the big play in the field? Who keeps their composure when the game gets tight? These are the moments that define October. These are the at-bats and innings that players remember forever or try to forget. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. Whispers around the league grew louder this week as speculation swirled that Pete Alonso, one of baseball's most feared sluggers, is set to don Dodger blue and take command of first base in Los Angeles. Though no official confirmation has been released, insiders close to the situation suggest that the move is already in motion, and the Dodgers clubhouse is quietly preparing for the arrival of the man nicknamed the Polar Bear. If true, this potential signing could alter the balance of power in the National League. Alonso, long the face of the Mets offense, would be leaving behind the East Coast lights for the Hollywood stage, a transition that many believe would amplify both his profile and his production. The Dodgers, already boasting one of the most formidable lineups in baseball, appear ready to double down on their championship ambitions by adding yet another right-handed power threat to the middle of their order. Around Chavez Ravine, the buzz is palpable. Some players have reportedly begun joking about how many baseballs will be lost into the pavilions once Alonso begins taking batting practice under the California sun. Fans, meanwhile, are refreshing their feeds by the minute, waiting for the breaking news alert that would send shockwaves across Major League Baseball. The thought of Alonso protecting the likes of Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman in the lineup has many already dreaming of October fireworks. Still, there remains an air of mystery. Was this orchestrated quietly behind closed doors, a blockbuster deal hidden from the public until the Dodgers were ready to strike? Or is this rumor simply a spark fanned by the constant winds of off-season chatter? What is certain is that the possibility of Alonso in Dodger Stadium has stirred conversations from New York bars to Los Angeles coffee shops. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.